it's Rachel and it's now time for part 2 of my July favourites. These are my random favourites, my book favourites, movie favourites, I don't know, food favourites, any other favourites that I have that aren't specifically beauty related. And I'm going to jump straight into them because I have a lot. The first favourite I have is actually a candle. And this is the Slatkin & Co. Caribbean Escape candle. Looks like this. It smells delicious is how I'm going to describe it. It says a passionate concoction of juicy melon, raspberry nectar and Italian lemon tempered with a creamy coconut milk and raw sugarcane. But basically to me that translates in just like a yummy summer cocktail even though we're in the middle of winter. I don't care. I absolutely love it. I got this from eBay for those of you wondering. I don't think you can get Slatkin & Co. candles in Australia. In the US you can get them at Bath & Body Works and probably in Canada as well, but I just love them. I think they smell amazing and it's just been a favourite of mine all month. The next favourite that I'll talk about is app favourites. I have a couple of app favourites this month. I can't remember whether I spoke about them last month or not, but they're photography apps or things to do with photography. The first one is PicFX, so PicFX. And basically it is what you use to make pretty things on your pictures. So I'm just going to grab a photo so I can show you, because you can put these like little mini like light reflective things on it, or you can put little hearts. Here we go, here's some big hearts. Like that, and you can choose just how you want to edit it. So I've been loving that. And then the other app that I've been loving, so for you guys who are wondering, that's what the app at the front looks like. And then the other app that I like is 360 Panorama, which hopefully you can see. It looks like this, and I'll open it up. And basically it just allows you to take panorama pictures, so you can go like this and take a whole photo all the way around, and it takes it and makes it like one panorama photo. I don't know, it just seems to work really good and I really like it. I just think it's fun. I don't know why. I get addicted to specifically photography apps on my phone because I just think they're so much fun and I just take photos of random things. So they are my 2 app favourites for this month. Moving on to a food favourite. This is not really a food so much because it's not, but it is something that you eat, and it's actually the Rapid Loss Real Meal Replacement Shakes in chocolate. And I've been using this for quite a while. I really like them. I don't recommend going on meal replacement diets or anything like that, especially if you haven't consulted your doctor first. I wouldn't call this so much a diet. I use this to have for breakfast, because I would often skip breakfast because of the fact that I get up really early and then I go to work and I'd have to try and eat cereal at work, which I could do, like that's totally allowed, but I just find this is really convenient. It fills me up. I love the chocolate flavour. I've tried the vanilla and I don't really like it. I think it's too sweet unless you mix it with some chocolate. They also have a latte flavour, a banana flavour and a strawberry flavour. I haven't tried the banana or strawberry because they don't really appeal to me. And latte, my friend said was nice, but I'm not a big coffee drinker, so I just basically always stick to chocolate, and it's really nice. You can get these at chemists and also at Priceline, and I really enjoy this and thought I would share it with you guys since it's something that I eat or drink because it's actually a shake on a regular basis. Okay, moving on to, should I do movie favourites or book favourites? We'll go to book favourites because I always have a lot of book favourites and I was trying to do something else first, but I know that a lot of you guys just watch this pretty much for the book favourites, so I'm going to jump into the ones that I actually have physical copies of first. So the young adult book that I have, I can't remember whether I showed this last month or not because I know I read it towards the start of this month, but I'm going to go with it anyway. If I did show it last month, my bad. But it is The City of Lost Souls by Cassandra Clare. I love these books. These is part of the Mortal Instruments. It was a trilogy, but then it got pushed out and became 6 books, so I guess you call that a series. This is book number 5. I can't wait until the next book. This book was kind of like a filler book. A lot happened, but it didn't necessarily end where you want it to. It's kind of one of those books that was necessary to get you from the book before until the next book, and I highly recommend these. The first book is City of Bones, so I recommend checking out the original books first before you get into these ones, but they're a really great young adult book. It is paranormal, I guess you would call it, so it has, I guess they're shadow hunters and, what's it called, fairies and warlocks and werewolves and vampires and all that kind of stuff. It has basically the whole range of paranormal kind of fairy tale creatures, so if you like that kind of thing, then I definitely think you'll like these books. The next 2 books I have are adult romance novels. The first one I have is Jill Shalvis's Forever and a Day. This came out right at the end of July. I got it straight away because I'd pre-ordered it and I read it in like a day because I love all her books. This is the third book in the second, I guess you call them little mini trilogies that make up a series of the Lucky Harbour books. I mentioned both Lucky in Love and At Last in a previous favourites video because I really like them. The first three books, which I thought would be the only three books, but I'm glad that they weren't, I also really liked. So I recommend checking out the Jill Shalvis Lucky Harbour series. I loved Grace and Josh's story in this book. They're just really sweet romance novels that you just leave you with a smile on your face no matter what. So I love that. And the other book is, again, it's another trilogy that's part of a series that I'm reading. That's these are the Fool's Gold books from Susan Mallory. I've mentioned all the other ones in previous videos before. This is the second book in this little set of three. The first one was Summer Days, which I mentioned previously, and then All Summer Long. I think it's just been released. I haven't received my copy yet because, again, I already had pre-ordered it, but I can't wait to read it because I absolutely know I love it. And this one is Annabelle and Shane's story. I have to get these right. I read so many books that kind of get the couples mixed up in my head, but again, it's just a light-hearted, happy kind of love story that you want to see because you can kind of, they get set up in the previous books. I knew that Annabelle would be the character for this, and I know that Charlie's the next book, and you kind of just, you get involved with the characters and you just want to hear their story and help them, or help them like you can help them, but hear about them getting their happy ending. I guess that makes sense. So just one of those kind of books. If you've read any of Susan Mallory's books, you know what I'm talking about. Well written and just leave you with a smile on your face. So they are all the physical books that I read this month. Not that many, usually I have a few more, but I actually read quite a few on Kindle. So the first two books that I wanted to mention were Pulled and Take This Regret by A.L. Jackson, and basically I would describe these books as, I guess, heartbreakingly sweet or heartbreakingly romantic. Both of them are stories where there's kind of been some kind of tragedy or some kind of mishap, and it's about the couple or the main characters finding their way back to each other, and they're just so beautiful and sweet and well written, and they may make you cry, but they leave you with a happy ending. And they just, I don't know, I just really liked the stories, and I guess liked the fact that the characters had to get over some kind of struggle, and despite that they still got together again. So I definitely recommend those books. I haven't read anything else by A.L. Jackson, but by the way I love those books, I'll definitely be reading more from her. The next book that I wanted to mention was The Accidental Movie Star by Emily Evans. This is one of those stories that you've probably heard before. It's kind of where somebody works on a movie set and then they kind of fall for a superstar, and it's kind of what happens, and they might end up on the movie or something like that. Those kind of stories isn't necessarily the most groundbreaking in terms of a plot line, but I really liked this one because it was well written. It wasn't corny in any way, I didn't feel. I liked the story, I liked the characters, I liked the way it turned out. I thought it's kind of that fantasy, you know, where you kind of, I think that everybody's had at one point where you might find a hot guy who turns out to be a movie star, and then all of a sudden you're a movie star too. I don't know, it's one of those things that I'm sure everybody thought would be cool at some point. The next book that I wanted to mention was actually it's two books by Lindsay Page. So I mentioned Sweetness, which was part of the Bold as Love. I think it's a trilogy. I think it was rewritten the end of it and pulled out into three books that I've read anyway. And I really liked them. It's kind of one of those stories. It's young adult or mature young adult, and it's about a girl who was treated really bad by her mother and was put down, and I guess she lost all her confidence, and then she goes to live with her dad, and she's lost all her confidence, and then she meets this guy who tries to talk to her, and she can't really talk to him, but then she can talk to his younger brother, and he looks after his younger brother because his mother died and his dad is kind of checked out, and he's kind of had to become the responsible one, and she feels that she can talk to the younger brother, I think, because it's less threatening than talking to adults or people her own age, and she slowly gets her confidence back, and the guy and his younger brother both help her to slowly get her confidence back, and that's kind of how Sweetness starts. And then the next two books which I read Whatever It Takes and I'm Yours, and they're both kind of short books that just continue on the story, but it's just a nice story. I don't know what it is, but it pulls you in and you kind of want to know that they're going to be okay, and that I guess the story progresses over a decent amount of time too, so you get to sort of really see how their characters progress, sorry I can't speak, going to college and starting in high school and things like that. So really sweet stories. I do recommend them. I don't know if you can get them in hard copy. I know that they're definitely available on Kindle. But the next series of books that I wanted to mention was the Premonition series by Amy A. Bartol. So I read 3 books. Now I've got to get this right because I'm not sure if I've got them in the correct order, but I think it's Inescapable, then Intuition, and then I can't say it out loud, but Indebted. I don't even know how to I can't say that word, and I feel like I usually can, but for some reason my brain and my mouth just won't link, so you guys can see based on the cover. But there's 3 good books. They're kind of based on paranormal, linking to angels, but then they have other, I guess, mythical creatures in them as well. And there's another one coming out which I'm really excited about, so it is a series, and I really recommend them. I like them and I like the story. There is a little bit of a love triangle and the idea of soulmates and people that you are meant to be with, and being part angel and part human, and all these kind of things. But I don't know, you just really get pulled in. There's basically always something happening. If you need a book to have something constantly happening in it for you to be able to read it, like you need to have constant action, something constantly happening, then you will definitely like these books, because I felt like my heart was going all the time because I did not get a chance to just breathe and break for a second. There was never a very long time where they were just happy or just together. It was always something happening. So if that's something that sounds like it would interest you, like you need things happening to keep you interested, then I think you'll definitely like these books. I also read Amber Eyes, which is part of the Entwined Soul trilogy or series by Jolene Paliata. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't know if I am. I really like this. Again, this one was kind of similar to, I think, one I mentioned last month. Not in terms of like the book was similar, but the idea of soulmates and having one person that you sort of always find in every single life, and they're the person that you're meant to be with. So I really like that premise. I don't know why, but a lot of the books I've been reading lately have something or some kind of that premise in them. So I don't know, that was just a fluke, but I liked it, and I'm looking forward to the next book coming out. Again, it's a little bit paranormal, but also contemporary as well, and it's a young adult to mature young adult book. Okay, so the last 2 books that I have are 2 Kindle books. These are definitely mature young adult to adult books because of the content of them. They're definitely more for an older audience, and they're by R.L. Matthewson. The first one is Playing for Keeps, and the second one is Perfection. And I found these by accident. I was recommended 2 books in my last Rach Recommends June favorites, random favorites on this channel, and I didn't actually get the author's name, and I haven't managed to comment back yet. So if that was you, I wanted to ask you who was the author, because there are a lot of books called Playing for Keeps, and I was just searching for that because I have read The Marriage Bargain, which was another one, and I actually think I mentioned that in a previous favourites video, but if I didn't, I've read that book by Jennifer Probst, I think was the author, and I really liked that, although there could be another one, because both The Marriage Bargain and Playing for Keeps are 2 very common names for books, and that was what was recommended me in the previous video. But while I was just searching for Playing for Keeps, I thought I'd see if I could find the book that this person was particularly talking about. I found these books, and I read the synopsis, and I thought, okay, sounds kind of interesting, and then I downloaded them, and they were really, really well written. I liked the witty banter between the characters in both the books. They did have a link. They weren't necessarily, I suppose you didn't necessarily have to read one before or after the other, but I like reading things in order, so I do recommend reading Playing for Keeps first and then Perfection. So because they did have some link, but it was just, I think it was the banter between the characters more. Like the rest of it was kind of like your typical romance novel kind of thing, happy ending, they get together in the end, it's great. But I liked the fact that the male characters were flawed, and they were really flawed. Like it wasn't like these perfect flaws, like they could really be, I'm trying to think of a nice way to say this, but you know what I'm talking about. Guys, when they think they sort of have the world at their feet, they can kind of treat girls not the best, and these guys were kind of like that, and I liked the way that these girls, or the fact that these girls that were in their lives made them better. I don't know. I think that's kind of a thing that all girls in the back of their minds kind of want. They want the bad boy and they want them to become better because of them. I don't know why. It seems really stupid that you should just want the good guy, but I think, I don't know, it's a flaw in girls' brains, because I know I'm not the only one who thinks that way. Anyway, really good books. I do recommend them. I can't wait to read the next one in this series because I just liked the way that they were written. I really liked the dialogue between the characters, and if you're more mature, if you're like my age or older or a bit younger, then I recommend checking them out if you just want like a light-hearted romantic read. So that is it. That are all my book favourites. I'm sorry that took so long, but I always read a lot and I just want to share them with you. In terms of TV favourites, I don't have really many new ones. The kind of Olympics has been on for the last week or so, so that's kind of taken off normal TV, and I haven't had a lot of time for TV. I have been catching up on Once Upon a Time, and I've said that in past favourites videos, but I do really like that show, and I was ahead of Australia and then I fell behind, and now I'm kind of in line with Australia, so I've been watching that on TV. I've also been watching repeats of Happy Endings, which they've been playing, and I actually really like that show. I think it's funny, so that's another favourite of mine. And in terms of movie favourites, this month I've seen Magic Mike. I just saw The Sapphires. I saw an advanced screening of The Sapphires, which is an Australian movie, and I actually quite liked it, which is odd because I don't like many Australian movies. I don't like to say that, but for some reason Australia makes really great movies here, like in terms of, we have big budget Hollywood films that are filmed in Australia and use Australian crews and stuff like that, so it's not like we don't have the capacity to make really good movies. There's just not that many Australian movies that I love. There's not to say that I do, there are some out there that I absolutely love, but there aren't as many as I think there should be. But I did like The Sapphires. I did like Magic Mike, although if you haven't seen it yet, it's not quite what you think. It's more of an indie film, so just if you haven't seen it yet, be prepared for that, but it's still a good film, and I mean the cast is absolutely gorgeous, so you would see it for that alone. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for my random favourites of this month. If you have any favourites, book favourites, music favourites. Why do I always forget this? I did this last month as well. I totally forgot music favourites, but I do have some that I wanted to share with you guys. The first one is Lightning by Alex Good, and he is actually a YouTube music star, I guess you would call it, or a music star that's really become big because of YouTube. I also have been loving She's So Mean by Matchbox 20, Call My Name by Cheryl, Some Nights by Fun, and then I found some unreleased Taylor Swift songs online, and I'm going to try and find a video below, I have a YouTube video so you guys can hear the song, but one of the songs is called This Is Really Happening, and I don't know if it was recorded ages ago and it just never got put on an album or whatever, but I absolutely love the song and I've been playing it over and over this month, so that is definitely a favourite of mine. So now that I've officially stopped being able to say coherent English words, I'm going to finish this video. Like I said, if you have any random favourites or any kind of favourites like things that I've mentioned, please let me know in the comments below if you have any recommendations for me, especially book recommendations, because I managed to find 2 of my favourite books this month based on a recommendation or a kind of flowing on from a recommendation from one of you guys. Then I would love to hear from you. Please let me know in the comments. If you film videos, then leave me a video response so I can watch it. Other than that, I'm going to go. I'll see you guys all in my next video. Bye.